if you ripped the fronts off houses, you'd find swine. The world's a hell. What does it matter what happens in it?
Released in 1943, Shadow of a Doubt was considered by director Alfred Hitchcock to be his finest film. Considering some of Hitchcock's greatly revered masterpieces, it may be hard to understand how Shadow of a Doubt could have ended up as Hitchcock's personal favorite. But Shadow of a Doubt has one element that is missing from Hitchcock's other pictures: vampires. Not explicitly, as there is no proof of the supernatural in the narrative, but the similarities between the character of Uncle Charlie and Count Dracula are unmistakable. By viewing the two cinematic versions of Dracula released before Shadow of a Doubt, Nosferatu in 1922 and Dracula in 1931, one can see character and technical parallels between the films. But Uncle Charlie isn't just reminiscent of a classic vampire for aesthetic purposes. He is connected to the character Dracula in order to not just make him a more frightening killer, but to bring in the element of fear of the outsider, something Dracula historically represents. He is a mysterious, wealthy man from the East who comes to a civilized Western society and begins wreaking havoc by targeting women.
Come on, Anne. Tell Catherine the story of Dracula.
This otherness is seen often in Nosferatu and Dracula, with constant references being made to Count Orlok and Count Dracula's origins.
I was telling her some rather grim tales of my far-off country.
The same is seen in Shadow of a Doubt, with Uncle Charlie's background almost never being referred to as Pennsylvania, simply the East.
Great country. We think so.
I'm thinking of transferring some money out here from the East.
Wife's brother from the East.
I told you about him. He's here from the East.
But in the East, there's another man.
They arrest that man in the East.
There's a man in the East.
East-West, home's best. We don't get many American speakers, Mr. Oakley. Seems like foreigners make the best talkers.
This xenophobia would have been especially common considering the time period of the film, 1943. World War II would have been in full swing, with the United States' fear of the foreign taking center stage.
Oh, imported.
In addition to Count Dracula, Count Orlok, and Uncle Charlie sharing similar societal positions as outsiders, they share many behaviors and characteristics. This is the audience's first introduction to Uncle Charlie, as he lies in a classically vampiric pose. And while Uncle Charlie doesn't drink blood, as a strangler, he goes for the throat, just like a vampire. Another classic vampiric trait is the ability to turn into smoke, an element that always seems to be surrounding Uncle Charlie. An important piece of vampire lore is that vampires don't show up in mirrors or on film, much like how Uncle Charlie refuses to have his picture taken.
I've never been photographed in my life, and I don't want to be.
But it's not just the characters themselves that share traits. The films employ similar aspects of mise-en-scène. The camera angles and positioning used when viewing the three respective killers don't just create a spooky atmosphere for the two vampires, but place Uncle Charlie right up there alongside the undead. Since its publication in 1897, Bram Stoker's Dracula has inspired countless film adaptations. One could argue that Shadow of a Doubt is one of them.
My blood now flows through her veins.
The same blood flows through our veins, Charlie.
Uncle Charlie's vampiric characteristics, as well as mise-en-scène similarities between Shadow of a Doubt, Dracula, and Nosferatu, align Uncle Charlie with these undead villains. Dracula has remained one of the most iconic horror characters of all time, and for good reason. His bloodlust makes him a fearsome killer, and his status as an outsider only serves to increase his menace. By paralleling the character of Uncle Charlie with Dracula, Shadow of a Doubt makes what would have been simply a human murderer into a seemingly supernatural monster, a figure that represents everything foreign that should be feared.
They're alive, they're human beings.
Are they?